Hey, friends. Welcome. I am so happy you're here. Today we're talking from the Virtual Savvy. We are talking about mindset hacks for overcoming perfectionism in your business, in your life, in your whatever you want to talk about. And today, the past 5 minutes has been a perfect example of overcoming perfectionism. It was going to be Rachel and I, but we were literally about to hit the go live button, and Rachel's power cut off. Is gone. She has no power right now. So she cannot join us. So I said, urgent help. Who can help me? And Sarah raised her hand and said, let's go. Let's do this thing. And so we are. We're going to go. We're going to do the thing. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. There is no perfectionism here today.
None. There's no
None.
we are all perfectly imperfect right here today. So, for those of you who do not know us, hi, my name is Becki Johnson. I am the DOO here at the Virtual Savvy. I manage the back end stuff. That's really what I do. I'm the street sweeper back here. I really love working with this team. We have an incredible team, and Sarah is a part of that. Sarah, can you tell us what you do here at the Virtual Savvy?
Yeah, my name is Sarah, and I am the tech director here at the Virtual Savvy. So, all things tech, automations, back end things, I make it all work sometimes, or I break it.
You know, sometimes, listen, this is the way that I operate in life. Sometimes you have to break something in order to make it work. I think about like a toaster oven, right? I don't know. Does anybody use a toaster oven anymore? I don't know. Everybody's got air fryers.
Yeah,
Think about a toaster oven, right? If something breaks in it, you have to tear it apart in order to fix the thing. You got to find out what's wrong with it. So
right.
sometimes we break things in order to fix things, and yeah. So it's cool stuff. It's good stuff. So if you deal with perfectionism in your business, if you've ever dealt with that, raise your hand. Tell us like, hey, yeah, me too, because I could like do like a thousand amens, hello, hallelujah, me too, because I am not a recovering perfectionist. I see that my perfectionism is there and I struggle with it every day. But here's the thing. Even though you struggle with it, you can move forward in it. Perfectly imperfect action. One of our values here at the Virtual Savvy is action over perfection, which means that there's going to be an aspect of perfection in your life, in your business. There's going to be an aspect of that. You know why? You know why there's an aspect of that is because you have high standards. You have a high standard of quality, right? And the same is true for me. I have very, very high standards. We have people raising their hand in the comments right now. We have high standards. So that's where that perfectionism comes into play. But we swing the pendulum way too far to the left or to the right, whichever way you want to swing. And we go to that perfectionism route, which is not attainable for any of us, right? So yeah, what does perfectionism, Sarah? Like maybe you can help us with this answer. What does perfectionism look like as an entrepreneur? What do you think?
Perfectionism looks like, well, I mean, perfectionism is wanting everything to be perfect. So, as an entrepreneur, I think perfectionism can really look like getting stuck and not being able to move forward because you want it to be perfect before you can move on to the next step.
Mm,
So I think it can look like really second guessing your decisions, your services, your pricing, your branding. I know a lot of people tend to get stuck there. That is a really easy place to get stuck because we want it to look the most beautiful, perfect thing that it ever can before we finally launch.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, perfectionism can hold you back in launching and telling people about your business. I mean, so many ways that perfectionism can impact our businesses negatively. It can also impact it very positively though, if you kind of navigate it in a positive direction. But yeah, there's so many different areas that it can
So
hold you.
funny. Like if you've dealt with perfectionism inside of your business. Tell us where that's stuck you, where that's put you. Not only like if it's held you back any, but the things that you have perfectionism with. Like, is it your branding? Is it your website? Is it your business cards? Is it the services that you offer? Is it the words that you use to describe yourself? Because I know a lot of people, they're like, I don't want to call myself a VA. I want to call myself the thing that I specialize in, but I don't know what I specialize in. So I'm not going to talk about the thing that I do. I'm not gonna help anybody because I don't know how I can possibly help them. Right, or how I can word that. So tell us in the comments how you have how perfectionism has impacted you inside of your business. For me, like a big part of mine was a lot of what you said, Sarah. It's branding, like, right? It has to look a certain way, right? I went through, I can't even tell you how many color schemes I went through just for my branding, right? Did you struggle with that at all?
Yes. That well, and then actually, like, a funny story, my business name morphed over time because I named it one thing and then I had to rename it. So yeah, perfectionism in the business name, the colors, the logo, the whatever. And really in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that important and you're gonna pivot later on anyway, probably. And so yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's a really good point. You're going to pivot. You will pivot. This isn't the thing that you do today, even if it was perfect. The thing that you put out today may not be the thing that you put out next month, right? It may be something different. You may get into that and you're like, I'm going to shift a little bit. But you can't because you already created this level of perfection that you can't deviate outside of because it was perfect. Y'all, we get stuck. It's this time warp. It's this loop of perfectionism. Um, so we've got some comments in here. I want to make sure that we're looking at them. Vanessa says branding for sure. I have definitely, yeah, for sure. Me too. I went through probably 20 logos. Easy. 20 is probably a really low number for the amount of logos that I went through. The logos that I purchased had somebody create specially for me, and the logos that I created for myself. Finally, what I ended up with was here's my name.
Me too. That's what I ended up with too.
That's my name. That's good enough. That's good enough. Now, as we talk, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about not only what perfectionism looks like inside of your business, we're going to talk to you about how you can overcome some of that. I've got some really cool tips for you. Sarah's going to share some of hers with us too. She doesn't know because we just pulled her in. She doesn't know what's coming. This is action over perfection, like live in front of you. So we're going to talk about some of that, and then we're going to have a live Q&A time towards the end where you can ask us any of the questions that you have, whether it's to deal with your business, whether it's around perfectionism or something else. Just ask us questions. If we don't have an answer, we'll tell you we don't know. Let's Google it together and we'll figure it out. Fail forward. I love this. Melanie says fail forward. Yes, yes, yes. JC, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. JC and Kai says, even when systems and processes in place, I tend to triple check my work to ensure it's 100%, which I know wastes time. And that's a really valid point, like what we talked about a moment ago, is a lot of times we will go over and over and over the same thing. Because we have such high standards, but at some point we have to realize there's good enough. This is good enough. This meets the standard. It probably exceeds the standard. Those of us who are perfectionists tend to overdo the standard. So what are some of the signs? Let's think about it. Maybe you don't know if you're a perfectionist or not. What are some of the signs that you might be a perfectionist inside of your business? Sarah, can you think of one?
Yeah. So spinning your wheels on the same thing
Mhm.
over and over and over again. So that's kind of looks like getting stuck. That's definitely going to be one. I think if you're really overworking yourself,
Mm.
I like personally as a perfectionist myself, uh, I tend to go and go and go and go because I want it to be right and perfect.
Mhm.
So I tend to overwork myself and until I get it just the way that I want it to be.
Mhm. Mm. I've been there too. Spending really, really, really late nights working on the same thing, working on this minute detail that nobody else even is going to even notice. You're the only one who's going to see it.
Yeah, I think having a negative outlook too on your business can tend to fall in line with perfectionism. And then Rachel actually sent me some notes, so I'll share some of those too. And she
Cool.
said like over analyzing,
Mhm.
always complaining, constantly changing, and never moving forward. Those are all symptoms of perfectionism in your business.
Yeah. Another one is second guessing yourself all the time, which Kai mentioned. Second guessing ourselves. I have been getting a call. Does anybody else get spam calls all day? All day? Like for me today, it's been one of them. So I'm going to take my watch off so I'm not distracted. Um, but yeah, spam or spam calls. Spam calls are an example of perfectionism. They're not. They're not. Um, so Tanya says, I'm always so concerned that a client will ask me a question about a service that I don't know. So I'm trying to know everything before moving forward. Oh my gosh, Tanya, are you a 5 on the Enneagram? Because yeah, that's me too. Um, me too. I want to know everything so that when you ask me a question, I'm going to give you a solid answer. I'm not going to say anything that makes me sound dumb, such as spam call is an example of perfectionism. We're going to say things that are stupid sometimes. You're going to, right? You're not going to know the answer to things because I don't know if you know this or not. And this may come as a huge like blow to yourself right now, but you're never going to know everything ever. You're never going to know everything. I'm a researcher. I research the snot out of all of the things that I think about. If I have a question, I immediately go to Google, ask the question because I want to know the answer. But here's the thing, there's always going to be another question, and there'll be another question, and there'll be another question, and another question. So, Tanya, that's a huge example. It's a great example of perfectionism inside your business is not moving forward because you don't have all of the answers that you don't even know the questions to yet, right? You don't even know those questions yet. Samantha says, that was me and my big kahuna package. My original due date was in March. So close there. I'm almost there. Legit. I hear you, Samantha. So what's your new due date? What's your new due date, Samantha? Tell us in the comments. When are you going to have that finalized by? If you were my client right now, I would tell you today. Tell me by the end of the day what your big kahuna package is. That would be me telling you. So it's your free micro mini coaching session right there. Uh,
Love it.
Another thing is you care too much about what people think. Like you just you care too much about what people think. If you stumble over your words, do you get all flustered because, oh my gosh, this person might think that I'm an idiot now because I stumbled over my words?
Right.
We all stumble over our words. Sarah, have you ever experienced that with a client where you're with a client and you say something silly or you get tongue twisted or don't know the answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think some of the hardest times for like me to swallow as a business owner have been when I've been on like a discovery call or something like that, and I have been asked questions that I just don't know the answer to. Because naturally I want to know the answer. So like when I prepare for a discovery call, I think of all the possible questions that they could possibly ask me, and then I think of all the possible answers that I could possibly say. So then whenever I get into that call and they ask me a question and I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I mean, I fumble around with my words because I'm like, I don't know. And then it's like a complete moment of like almost embarrassment because I didn't I didn't know the answer. So I think you have to remember that you are an imperfect person and you're not going to be perfect all the time. So I think in those moments you just have to be I don't know the answer to that question, but I will find out for you. I will find out and get back to you.
I don't know, but I will find out for you.
Yeah.
If you've followed the virtual savvy for more than 5 minutes, that's one of our big things here is I don't know, but I will find out for you. Because as a virtual assistant, one of the biggest things that you are going to have to be good at is figure it outedness. right? How you've got to figure out how to do something. You've got to figure out how to get information. You've got to figure out the answer. It's figure it outedness. So if you've got that, if you can figure it out, if you can give yourself permission to step back, to not know, to be able to figure it out, you can be a success here. If you expect, even for 5 seconds, if you expect that you're going to show up perfect inside of your business, perfect for your clients and customers, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle so hard. And we don't want you to do that. We want to give you the tools, the resources, and the ability to step forward and to figure it out. Mm. Yolanda says, I'll try to highlight it. Where'd she go? There she goes. She said, stop spilling my business. We're spilling the tea here, sister. We're spilling the tea. Ooh, Samantha has an answer. Next week, Wednesday, is the new due date for my Big Kahuna package. Melanie has been a huge help. Melanie's amazing. Melanie is like the epitome of action over perfection. It's one of the big reasons that we brought her on here as a virtual savvy, because girl just goes. She's like, I don't know. Let's go. Let's figure this out. Yes, she's phenomenal at that. She's good. Sarah's also really good at that. Anyway, that's why Sarah's on the back end doing all the tech. Everything is figure outable. Yes, Amy, it is. Tiffany says, and we're all humans. Our clients are human too, and they understand that everything isn't always perfect. But it's so hard feeling like everything has to be perfect. But what is perfection really? You know what? I just had a thought here. If you're working with a client who does not understand that you are a human and that you are prone to not know something, do you really want to work with them anyway? I mean, let's think about it. Do you want to work for or with anybody that expects perfection all the time? No. And so why would you want that for yourself? Why would you expect that for yourself? Anyway, Sarah, have you
something super beautiful in allowing people to see your imperfections too? I think it allows clients to be able to connect with you on a more relatable level. Like if you've ever seen like a celebrity or somebody like that, like mess up a lyric of a song, you're like, oh my gosh, they make mistakes too. Like, and I think it puts you on a whole nother relatable level that is extremely personable that clients really connect with too. And I think, I think that's it. That's like the cream of the crop. That's where you want to be, is personable and relatable, so that, I don't know, it's just like a comfortable feeling, I think.
I agree. I do agree. And the fact that you brought up celebrities messing up, if you've ever heard one like really botch a high note or something like that, right? Or they show up and they've got a scratchy voice. And you're like, oh, well, they're not as radio perfect as what, we would think that they are. And none of us are. We don't have auto-tune in our day-to-day lives. We show up and we're real, and we stumble and we fall. And it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's hard. But perfectionism stops us. Like for me, has perfectionism ever stopped you in your business? I want to ask you that question right now. Or in anywhere of your life, what has it ever stopped you from doing? What have you not done because you were so worried that you weren't going to show up as perfect or do the thing perfectly? So for me, one thing that comes up for me, I don't want to say a lot, but it comes up for me. This is a silly example, but it's a real example. I've got some other things that it's worse for sure. But I'm a terrible baker. I'm really bad at it, so I don't do it. And the reason that I don't do it the reason that I'm really bad at it, true story, is because baking, you have to measure things.
Right.
And I don't measure anything. I'm just like, this needs, what would be great in this would be, you can't do that with baking. Sarah clearly is a baker because she's judging me on my lack of baking prowess. But I don't do it. I don't test it. I don't try. I'm not like, no, with a new baking recipe comes across the board and I'm like, nah, I'm going to try it. Let somebody else make that for me. I'm not going to do it. But I could learn the skill. Could I learn the skill, Sarah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, you could learn the skill.
Sure, I could. Sure, I could. But I know that's something super silly, but it is something that I won't do because I'm not good at it, and I'm not going to be good at it immediately, right?
Right.
Uh, Sarah, has there ever been anything that you did not do because it wasn't going to be perfect?
Yeah, so I am like an obsessive cleaner of my house, and so in the past, I'm a work in progress, okay? So,
We
in
all
the
are.
I have literally not had people over to my house because I knew it wasn't gonna be clean enough for their probably not their standards, my standard. So, like, I mean, like, I just clean and clean and clean. Oh, well, there's like a tiny spot on this wall over here. Well, we can't have people over because it's not perfect enough. I think that's also kind of a little bit of a mom thing. And it's
Mhm.
also, I think perfectionism can also be a little bit like self-consciousness, like too, things that you're very self-conscious of. And so, like, I really want to clean house for when people come over because I want to impress. I think that can be behind perfectionism, wanting to impress.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've definitely done that before. But like I said, work in progress. People do come over to my house. I'm not antisocial, but my house may not be clean. I have a 1 and 3-year-old, so it is what it is.
You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. For sure. I'm struggling to not coach you in that right now. I'm just going to be real and honest with you. I'm struggling. My
Okay.
natural inclination is coaching. And so I want to be like, so tell me, like, what has happened because you haven't let people into your lives?
Oh, I
Because
know.
let them see your mess. I want to
Someone
see.
told me my house was dirty once, and then it was all over from there. Yeah.
So somebody came over to your house when it was dirty once. Is that what you said?
Yes. It was my mom.
Because your mom's never seen your mess before.
Right. She was like, "Your house is dirty." And I was like, "I know, get out."
And it's not happened since then?
No, she's not allowed over. No, I'm just kidding. She's allowed
Okay.
over. But I'm more aware. Like, I have a heightened awareness now of that. And so I have to have some perfectionism behind that. It looks very good when she comes over now.
Let's talk about that. I want you guys to use these questions that I'm going to work with Sarah with right now. She didn't even know she was coming. Um, she, she didn't even know. I want you guys to use these questions and ask yourself some of these questions when you notice that you are being a perfectionist inside of your business or any other area of your life. So, what would happen, Sarah, if I came over to your house right now and it was messy?
I mean, I would feel horrified
Why?
because I would think that you would judge me.
So, what if I'm judging you?
I want you to like me because I like you.
Just because I think your house is messy is going to mean I don't like you?
Well, that's what my connection is.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm not allowed to like a messy person, somebody that's got a little bit of a mess.
Right.
Note to self, we're all messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
already know you're messy. I mean, like, because you're human. Because I'm going to assume that you eat at your house, and so there's going to be dirty dishes at times. I'm going to assume that your kids wear clothes, so there's going to be dirty clothes sometimes. I'm going to assume that your kids are allowed to play, so there's going to be toys. I'm going to assume your kids get a hold of markers and pens and stuff, so there's probably going to be writing on the wall somewhere. I hope so. I hope so, because that means you're real and you're honest and you're authentic and your life is being lived.
Yeah. That's the way I like to look at it now. I told you I was a work in progress.
You are. You are.
Yep. I like it.
Mm. So if you're a work in progress, how did you step forward into that?
I think just knowing that I am an imperfect person and an imperfect person can be beautiful. Like, kind of like what I said before, like, there's something really, really beautiful in being imperfect and just not cookie cutter.
Yeah. You're you. Like, I want to see your uniqueness. I want to see your flaws. I want to see your messed up logo. I do. I want to see the fact that you use a crazy silly font. Do I want to help you fix it? Sure, we'll fix it in time when it's time. Right now, I don't really care about that. Right now, I want to see you get a client. That's what I want to see more of. So, what do you want more of right here? Do you want this logo that's on side of this thing? Do you want it to be perfect, or do you want somebody paying you some money so that you can actually continue to move forward in your business? Which one do you really want more? Do you care that there's one person out there who judged your logo just a little bit? Or do you want to provide a meal for your family, right? Or do you want to take a step forward and help somebody else become a bigger success, a better success, to be a little more organized in their business, to be able to reach more of their own clients, or to build a bigger business, right? Which do you want more of, right? Perfect? Do you want to be perfect? Or do you want to actually be able to live the life that you've been put here to live? Anyway, okay. Rachel said
I
make
think
comments.
I think as that comes back to, like, wrap that back around to, as it relates to business, people hire people. People hire real people. They want you. They want the authentic person that you are. And I think that's really important to note.
Mhm. People want people.
Mhm.
If I wanted a robot, I would have hired one, because there are lots of automated services out there. Truth be
Right.
told, the thing that you provide somebody can probably be automated in some sort of way, but they cannot do it. And the automation service cannot do it in the way that you can. So show up as you. Good point, Sarah.
It was Rachel's point.
It was Rachel's point. You know,
You know, the lovely girl that we're missing in this live.
show up as you, or show up as Rachel. I mean, that's fine too.
Mm, love it.
I'm just kidding. Please don't show up as Rachel. She would be so mad right now. She'd probably get ready to say something when she hears that part. There's a little delay. Someone wants to hire you because you are you. Yes, sister. Yes.
Good.
So, Sarah, I want you to think about a point inside of your business, and I'll do the same. And I want you guys to do the same. Have some chatter with us down here at the bottom. What point was it inside of your business that you realized that there was something holding you back, that perfectionism was holding you back? At what point was it? Was it 2 a.m. when you were trying to get that curve on your logo to be just exactly right?
Probably. No, I would say when I was working so much that my business started bleeding into the reasons why I started my business to begin with.
Mm,
So a little bit around that is I started my business so that I could be a more available mom, and so that I could have flexible hours and be with my kids. And whenever I was perfecting so much to the point that I was working longer hours, that I was getting less times with my kids, less time with my husband, and I was up in the middle of the night, so I was getting less sleep, and it was impacting my physical and mental health and my family. Like, that was the moment when I was like, okay, this is exactly the opposite of what I got into virtual assisting for.
mhm.
So it's time for me to step back and realize okay, it's fine. Whatever it is that's causing me to do this right now, it's fine. Whether that was a task or a project or branding or, whatever, it was just okay. Like, I know what my why is, and whenever I start cutting into not being able to experience the why of why I'm doing this to begin with, then it's time to, cut your losses, make it imperfection, whatever, and move on.
Yeah. Is it cutting into my why? Dang it. I love it. I love it. Katie says, for me, it's that I wouldn't actually finish. I kept tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. Been there. Oh, man, been there. Um, so I want to talk about some of your favorite tips for overcoming perfectionism. And Sarah, whether it's your tips or Rachel's tips, let's chat with them. Rachel and I didn't bounce our tips off of each other, so let's see how many overlap, shall
So Rachel did drop me some tips. So I'm going to share her tips first, and
we?
then I'll share
Cool.
my tips. Showing up as your best self. So this means that you have to be taking care of you, educating yourself, rest, self-care.
I want to pause right there. Your best self is not your perfect self. Okay? Your
Right.
best self, I'm going to say it again. Your best self is not your perfect self. It's your better than you were 5 minutes ago self. Okay? It's not who you're going to be in 20 years self. It's better than you were 5 minutes ago self. Okay? That's a healthier, more clear mind. It's cared for yourself. It's not a perfect self.
Right.
Mm.
I think for me, the biggest thing that's helped me get past perfectionism is like having a plan. So I'm a very like list oriented person. I'm very visual. So whether that's okay, I'll just tell you, I'll be very vulnerable. I have a sticky note right now on my laptop in front of me that says H2O, sunshine, kids. That's literally what it says. So it's like all the things that I need to remember that help make me step out of being a perfectionist. So those are the things that I have to be my best self. So for me, like writing lists or something visual to help you remember whenever you get, because I kind of get like in a very like deep rabbit hole, very focused, intense rabbit hole whenever I'm perfecting. So something that like I look up, I see, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't seen the sun yet today. Maybe I should go do that. And then it kind of gives you a breakaway. You can kind of think about what you're doing. And okay, I've already spent 2 hours on this. It's good enough. Time to move on.
Yes. I'm going to highlight Javita's comment here. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. It looks beautiful, and I'm sure that I'm pronouncing it wrong. Javita? Yeah, maybe. She said, it was my birthday, and I showed up at a client's office to do work because I was so concerned about finishing his project, which wasn't even due till next week. He kept telling me to go home. Friend, we're hugging you right now because I think we've all felt that at some point. Like I have to overdo it here for you to approve of me, for you to keep liking me. I've got to overdo and be more than what I already am. And I will tell you that you are already enough. Your client hired you as you are, not as you're going to be, but as you are. So show up as you are.
Right.
Yes. My first tip is this is basic. Do the dang thing. Just Nike it up and do it. Period.
Yeah.
Just do the dang thing. And yeah, that's it. Just do it. I mean, there's going to be times in your life where like, I can't make this cake. I'm going to make that up because we already talked about this. I can't make this cake because when I make it, it's going to be flat or it's going to be runny or it's going to be like super rounded in the middle. And I'm not going to be able to figure out how to get the icing on this weirdly shaped cake. Okay. And make the cake. I've had some really bad cake. I've had some cake that looked really, really bad. Amazing.
Yeah.
My friend brought a banana bread over the other day and she was like, I'm sorry, it's squishy. I was like, I'll try it. It's fine. It was so good. I wanted to eat the whole loaf and it was ugly. It was so ugly. It was delicious. Period.
Yes. I actually have an example of that too. I made a cheesecake a few Christmases ago. That's like my thing. I make cheesecakes for the family. So I put too much ganache on top of it, the really heavy like chocolate layer, and it caved my cheesecake in. So I didn't take it to family get-togethers or whatever. And my husband was like, "This is the most incredible cheesecake I've ever ate in my life." So I ended up cutting it up and taking it to another event like a few days later, and everybody raved about it. Yeah.
Of course, because it was good. It was delicious. It was the best cheesecake ever.
It was so ugly.
That's it. What's your next tip for us, Sarah? Let's go back and forth.
My next tip. I don't know. I think I love that you said just do the dang thing, because I think you just have to stop. I think, and this goes really hand in hand with that, you have to recognize when you're in perfectionism to realize what the next step is. So I guess my next tip is just like figuring out a way to recognize what perfectionism looks like for you and recognize it when you're in the moment so that you can stop it and just stop.
Mm.
And then do the dang thing, like
And
Becki
then
said.
do the dang thing. And
Mhm.
do the dang thing. So my next one is really, it's a 3-part tip. Get an accountability partner, somebody who can actually, you can tell them, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and set a due date. Tell your accountability partner what your due date is, then set a timer and get started and finish. Okay? If it's something small, if it's a big thing, then break it up in chunks and projects and do some project management. But if it's a small thing and you're just toiling and toiling and toiling, i.e., you're working on your logo, set a timer. Decide at this time I'm going to be finished. And when that timer goes off, you're finished. Your best draft is your final draft, and you're done and you're moving forward. Okay? Your best draft that you've already completed, not the best draft that is to come eventually one day, maybe, I don't know, who knows. Your best draft is the final draft. So get an accountability partner, set a due date, set a timer, and do it. Do the dang thing. That's going to be the final answer here. Is just do the dang thing.
Don't get stuck. Do the dang thing.
Says we have to be able to recognize what perfectionism looks like for us. If we don't recognize this, we can't overcome it. And that's absolutely key. So what does it look like for you? If you don't know, step back and assess where you've been, what you've overcome already, and maybe what you're still in the middle of. Step back and assess. Sarah, what's your next tip for us?
I don't know. I'm running out of tips, Becki.
I have a whole list here. So
let's hear some more of yours.
Okay, my next one is to be realistic, right? Be realistic. Like you've got this big goal, like Sarah, your cheesecake. We'll talk about that for a moment because this is something that most of us can relate to and can visualize. Your cheesecake. Be realistic. Like you made this cheesecake. Is it beautiful? No. Is it going to serve its actual purpose? What's the purpose of it? Was it to show up and be this glorious visual thing? Or was it to be delicious? Because that's the purpose of a cheesecake, is to be delicious. I've seen some cracked and whatever. Apparently cracks in cheesecake are a bad thing. I've had some really delicious cheesecake that were all cracked up, right? The crust fell off and all the things. It still tasted really good. So what's the purpose of this thing, and does this thing fulfill that purpose? Be realistic with your thing. And my next tip was to ask yourself, when you're in that moment of it's not good enough, I'm not good enough, blank isn't good enough, ask yourself, says who? Says who? Like Sarah, when your mom came in and asked you, or said to you, your house is messy. Okay, she doesn't have to live there. Right? Right? If I'm worried that my logo isn't going to meet Katie, and Katie, I love you to pieces. You have amazing standards with your graphics. If I'm worried that my logo isn't going to please Katie, well, okay, and Katie isn't the one hiring me. It doesn't matter to her what my logo looks like at the end of the day. What matters is that that logo can represent the thing that I do.
Right.
So says who? When you're worried about perfection, says who?
Yeah. I think a good thing to remember too, and this might be because I'm a 6 Enneagram, but I like to think, what is the worst thing that could happen right now if this isn't perfect? Because what is that? Because normally it's not that big of a deal. Like the absolute worst thing that could happen is what they say, could you correct this? And you say, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, and that's not super comfortable. That's obviously not what you're going for. But I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? If you're really feeling stuck and you're spinning your wheels, just stop and ask yourself too. And then I think some of the team chimed in with some tips. And so Alicia, our Savvy Vault director, she said, I just need to get out of my own head. I realize that people are thinking way less than I think they're thinking about me. So good.
less important to people than what you think that you are. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about their own junk. Quite frankly, they're over there worried about their own stuff. They're not worried about you and your junk.
Yeah. And then Tiffany said people are not thinking about us like they think that, like we think they are. It's a good reminder.
Yeah. It really is a good reminder. I think we're so hard on ourselves, which really comes to my next two-part point is be growth-minded. Realize that you're not who you're going to be, but you're not who you were either, right? A year ago, I was not able to do the same things that I'm able to do today, right? I'm able to do a little bit more. I'm a little more intelligent in certain areas. I'm a little more gifted, skilled, experienced in certain areas than I was a year ago. So you're going to grow. You're going to keep growing, but you cannot grow, my friend. You cannot grow unless you step out. If you keep sitting in the same seat, you're going to keep knowing and doing the same thing. You have to step out and you have to step forward. And the second part of that is who you are today, or the quality, I'm sorry, reverse. The quality of the thing that you're putting out today does not define your value. The quality of the thing that you're doing does not define your value. Okay? I want y'all to remember that, because I think that so often we define what we do, or we define who we are by what we do, right? Hi, my name is Becki, and I am the DOO of the Virtual Savvy. Well, if I'm not the DOO of the Virtual Savvy tomorrow, Lord forbid, because I really like this job. I love working with you people. It's my favorite thing ever. But if I'm not the DOO of the Virtual Savvy tomorrow, my value remains the same as a human being. So who you are as a human being is not defined, or is not valued by the thing that you do. Okay? Okay.
Right. That's so good. I love
Mm.
that. We have some really, really great comments rolling in.
Yeah, they are. Good stuff. Good stuff. Says the perfectionist in me. For sure, my friend. For sure, for sure. One of my final ones is to enjoy the process of becoming. Friends, we're so apt as humans, and I'm speaking to myself. I need you to hear that. I'm going to go ahead and talk to the mirror. Y'all just join me for a moment as I talk to myself. We are so focused on getting to the next step and getting to the next layer, the next level, the next whatever. We're so focused on the next thing that we can't be right where we are. Right where you are is really cool, right? Right where you are with your kids making a disaster inside of your home. It's a really cool thing, and you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it so bad. I've got one kid out of 4 left at home. They've all gone off to do their things. I've got one kid left, and I miss when they were little. Now they're bringing their littles over, but I miss when they were little and they got to color on the walls. I remember those stories. I remember the frustration, but I look back. I'm with you. I know the frustration of the right now, but I look back and there's so much beauty in that. You know, when your kid draws your stick figure family on your wall, don't wipe it off, frame that sucker. It's fine. Just stick a dollar store frame on top of it. It's cool. Look, now we have art. It's fine. It's fine. Yes. Missy says, Becki, I didn't come here to cry. I'm sorry. Listen, my day's a success because that's my goal first thing in the morning. Who am I going to make cry? Missy, your name gets written down today. Good to go.
And Rachel said, embrace your present. And
yes, she did.
That's so good. Just embracing where you are, who you are, acknowledging the growth that you've came from. It's so beautiful. You're right.
I'm like a 965 Enneagram. I'm all of them. Okay. I'm 1 through 9. My mind never stops. I need to get out of my own head. Yes. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Love it, love it. And Christy says, guilty. Staying in the now is so hard. And I feel like it's harder the older I get. You would think it would be easier. I think it stems from control and not liking surprises. Oh, that's interesting. We should talk about that.
I don't think there's any perfectionist that loves surprises.
No, because how am I possibly going to show up as my best, most perfect self if you don't even tell me what we're doing? Sarah, I don't think Sarah's a perfectionist, by the way. Like, I don't think this is something she struggles with too much. Because as soon as I literally said, it was 11:59. We go live at 12. It was 11:59. I said, urgent help. I need somebody who's ready to go live with me right now to have this chat. And she said, all right, what's the topic? She said yes. I'm pretty sure she said yes before.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know the topic. I don't know if I would have joined if I knew it was perfectionism.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yes, I love it. I love it so much. Who is it? Melanie says, I think I need to strive for more perfection. No, Melanie, you are perfectly imperfect. Perfectly imperfect.
Perfection.
Which is my final tip for you, my friends, is to be perfectly imperfect.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, yeah. I had a coach many, many years ago. I think it was 7 or 8. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember where I was when this coach told me this, when I was working with this coach. But they told me, Becki, you're already perfectly imperfect. And I was like, what? First of all, you just called me imperfect. Second of all, you just called me perfect. And I don't know how to make that mesh inside of my brain. And it's fun to actually step forward and walk inside of that as we grow. You are already perfectly imperfect. So be perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, just be you. Be authentic.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, so we've got a couple more minutes here to answer any questions that you might have. We may not know the answer. We may. Let's see what happens. If you got any questions, let us know down in the comments. I'm going to look at some of your comments already. I've missed them. You guys got me scrolling quick. Missy says, I can't handle surprises. I meet the mailman at the door. Well, I do too, because my dog lets me know that FedEx is here, and she lets me know very loudly, and it's very annoying. So, yeah, I meet the mailman at the door too. For sure, for sure. Christy says, I try to control my surprises.
How's that working out?
I'm not sure that's a thing. That's awesome. I told my husband, I turned 40 this year, and I told him, I said, I just need you to know that I do expect a full party. Don't think that I'm going to be one of those wives who are like, it's just my birthday. It's not a big deal. No, I want a party. This is a big one. This is a big one. We're going to go ahead and we're going to celebrate, so I don't feel quite so depressed about being old.
No.
We're going to celebrate this sucker, mind over matter. We're going to celebrate. So maybe that's me controlling surprises too. I don't know. I'm with you. Sarah is my superhero for sure.
No, Alicia mentioned a change too, and I struggle a lot with change. Like, so surprises is like, obviously like the ultimate, like, whoa, but even just change like over time as a perfectionist, like that's a lot to absorb and to walk through and to think through. So yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Christy says, I think being authentic is hard as VAs because we want to fit into this mold of what other people want or need, even though it may not even be our specialty. How crazy is that? Okay, I should have thrown everyone in that. That's just me. Christy, I think you may not be everyone in there with you, but you have a nice crowded room there of people right there with you. But if you think about it, as a VA, being a perfectionist is probably, for you specifically, it's going to be even more detrimental than other professions because you're working with so many different business owners who are going to have different standards. You can't show up as exactly what this person needs and exactly what this person needs, and exactly what this person needs, because they all need something different, right? They all need someone different. Their idea of perfect is going to be different for like each, and you can't be all three. So show up as you. That's good enough. It's good enough. And if anybody says otherwise, says who? It doesn't matter. Oh well. Okay. Becki said so. Becki said it doesn't matter. It's fine.
That's what I'll tell my mom next time she tells me my house is dirty. Becki
Becki
said it
said
was
it
fine.
doesn't matter. Becki says it's fine. It's fine. I can clean it up later. Why? Why? Doesn't matter. It's fine. Um, Rich said, I just want to be there to watch y'all watch the new. What? Okay, maybe they're talking about something else. I don't quite
So,
understand.
so Missy put in a comment that says, Christy, I don't think we'd be able to watch new movies together.
That's it.
Y'all would be spoiling all the surprises at the end.
Yeah, there are certain people I can't watch. I can't watch movies with for sure. My son is one of those because he tells me how it's going to end. We can't watch them. For sure. All right, guys. This has been really good. Sarah, I want to thank you so much for being an example of action over perfection. Just raising your hand saying, yeah, I'll do that. I'll step in. You're like the epitome of the value that action over perfection brings, because when you just show up, when you're just there, you're a seat in the chair, your ears on the wall and ears in the room, I don't know, shoulder to cry on, something, I don't know. It brings so much value because you are, friend, I'm talking to you, not just Sarah, but I'm talking to everybody in this room right now. You are value packed as you are. Okay? So show up, keep showing up, keep doing the dang thing. You're awesome.
Do the dang thing.
Do the dang thing. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye, friends.